What are your goals and expectations for the upcoming 2014 season?
I think our goals are always to make the playoffs. Expectations beyond that is going to be a little hard to say with basically losing 17 players. We've got a lot of things to sort out. So if we can get into the playoffs, ideally, I think 3 or 4 seed, look for that home game, get the bye, puts us in the best chance to, be in a position to win a conference title. I don't think we're going to automatically jump into the 1 or 2 seed. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of work to get there, but I think making the playoffs is definitely our goal, and no matter what the situation is with our team. And the expectations are kind of going to be changing throughout the season based on how these young guys perform and how things kind of come together. But I think, the potential's there. It's just a matter of how early we can start to really sort things out.
Now, you mentioned the loss of 17 players from a year ago. Talk a little more about who are your key losses.
Well, the number one loss overall is just experience. I mean, we had 13 seniors, which brought a ton of experience. And in those close games on the road, I mean, those guys had been there, done that, attitude, believed in themselves, believed in the team, and it took us a long way. That'll be definitely lacking this year and maybe even next year. But as far as just on the field, ability, obviously 2 all-region players, our key defender Chris Jones, our key forward Pablo Tirano, big losses for us. I mean, they were basically the majority of our offense at the same time, even Chris from his center back position. And then on top of that, you have, Jared was probably, an all-conference worthy defender that's gone, and then we had 5 other forwards / wingers that are gone that scored all our goals. Looking at the stats, I think we only have 10 goals coming back from our lineup, so our offense is pretty depleted. So it'll be, again, it'll be interesting to see how we turn this around.
On the reverse side of that, who are your key returners?
Well, I mean, we have 4 upperclassmen. One of them didn't even play last year because he redshirted with a knee injury. So getting Brian Whitmore back will be a boost. He would have been part of that senior class, which would have been 14. He's a central midfielder, which we lacked last year, his work rate and his technical ability. Mitchell Muse will be returning. Now, we only got Mitchell back at the end of the season last year, so he only started 5 games. But he was significant in our playoff push last year. And then Joe Clark and Brian Lentini will be the other 2 upperclassmen returning, both seniors who played, started probably half the games, played significant minutes, and but really only 4 upperclassmen if you're just counting juniors and seniors. So it's again a pretty young team.
Who are your key newcomers?
Well, that could be hard to say because there's so many. We do have, I think, 8 or 9 freshmen, probably 5 transfers, and a couple of walk-ons we're bringing into preseason to see who surprises us. 5 of the freshmen have played very high-level club ball and should be able to adapt right away. We have a couple other guys that maybe we're right below that tier of soccer and competitive nature, and we'll see how they kind of sort through things. And some of the transfers we actually don't know a lot about, kind of contacted us late. Good recommendations, look good on paper, but until we see them on the field, we won't know. But there's going to be a lot of 13, 14 new faces that we'll have to really kind of see who's adjusting and who's fitting in where and filling whatever holes that the team had from the guys that are leaving.
What are your thoughts on your schedule, both non-conference and in CAC play?
Well, the conference schedule is always tough just because I think our conference is fantastic. I mean, conference could be 7 teams deep this year as far as competition goes. I mean, we were a 5th seed last year going into the playoffs, and I thought we were a pretty good team. And I think St. Mary's and Wesley are right back in it again this year, so that puts us probably at 7 deep. On non-conference schedule, I think we increased a little bit. We added Johns Hopkins, who's always strong. We had a Juniata who had a good push in the ECAC tournament, I think was in their conference final. We had a Waynesburg who had a good push in the President's Conference, might have been the 2nd or 3rd place team there. And most of their games stayed the same. So overall, I think we increased our strength of schedule. And I just think our conference is so tough that we don't need too many non-conference games because we've got to get ready for those games in the conference to put us in a position for the playoffs and hopefully that chance to compete for a conference title.